Let the bass kick.
J.
Boom.
What up?
What up? What up?
Hello, I think we're here.
I think we're back.
Watch out.
Are we back?
Where did we go?
Can everybody hear yourselves?
I do.
Oh, awesome. Hey, what up, guys? Welcome to another episode 4 to be exact, of Last Cash. I am Will, and this is Marcus,
I am Marcus.
and that's Jay.
What up?
And our guest this week is Ruthie. What's up, Ruthie? This is
Hey.
Ruth Miller, for everybody that doesn't know. This is my friend Ruth Miller, and I'm excited to have you here this week because for people that have been watching the show, even as we were the MCDG podcast for the last couple years, you know, our guests tend to be either nationally known, recognizable names within the disc golf world, or at least locally recognizable names like, you know, pioneers of the sport here in Nashville, like Steve Hardy and Ken Folger and Greg Clement and Rodney Goad and all the guys that have been around for a while. But one thing we haven't done, and that I have been asked about, like, would it be a good idea, and I think it's a great idea, is to get somebody on the show to give us the perspective of a more beginning player or a person that's newer to disc golf. And I couldn't think of anybody better than you because, you know, you guys, obviously, if you are in Nashville playing disc golf, you've seen Ruthie at just about everything that's going on for the last year or so. And it's not just at events, playing them and stuff like that. She has, you know, since you and Jamie, your husband, have been in the community, you guys have showed up every time I've called for help. Anytime we've had a work party or anything like that going on, you guys have always been among the first people there.
Yeah.
So,
Golf claps.
yeah, golf snaps to Ruthie and Jamie. You know, for the last few episodes especially, we've been kind of harping on, or I've been harping on, the importance of being involved and giving back. And you are the personification of that because you haven't just showed up and played the events. You've been showing up and helping work on courses. You've been showing up and running events. So, the first time you and I met was at the Disc Golf Experience at Nissan Stadium in 2017.
But you don't remember that.
Well, I
Oh,
know it.
He was there.
I was there, and you were there, and you said you bought a disc off of me.
Yes.
I was
I
hoping to
bought, the hat.
That's
with
right.
The cork. Which I still have, and I like that hat.
The cork. What is the cork?
So there's a DD hat,
flat bill
That's
hat that's got a
black
cork.
with cork on the
Oh, so
would
like
that
a
be
rare,
part?
a
the
rare
dome
one.
part. I don't
The
know.
dome. Yeah. Cork on the dome.
Yeah, I had one. She bought one because I was helping J Ray with the DDRV, which was parked right there on the concourse at Nissan Stadium. And then I didn't see you again until probably beginning of last year.
2019 August.
Yeah. So I know that you have been aware of disc golf for a while, and you have a background in sports.
Yes.
So, what is your relationship with disc golf? How did you first discover it, and what made you kind of flip the switch in 2019 and start really going at it all in?
Jamie has been playing since he was 16.
Mhm.
We're both, I think, 42. I've known him for, I think we're 14 years plus. And so, of course, he's like, hey, let's go play disc golf. And I would go, but I guess begrudgingly. And I'd throw the disc and it would go straight up into the air and drop left. So I hated it, but I would go. And we would just hang out with friends and walk through the course and play the course. But then I would say, I think beginning of August was Music City 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And his family from Mobile came and stayed with us and played Music City Open. And we took them to Ravenwood, all the courses that they had to play. And I kind of got a glimpse of, there's competition. There's, it's more than just, I just thought that it was just a casual thing.
Purely recreational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that it wasn't like organized where there's tournaments or other events. So when once I found that out, I don't know. After that, I'm trying to remember. Somehow, I guess I spoke with you and the neighborhood thing that I volunteered at.
Yes, we went to the Good Neighbor Day Festival.
Yeah.
Yep.
I felt really uncomfortable there, but I went. But that's pretty much. I guess in August it just clicked. Plus, being a softball pitcher with playing co-ed, I started, and my vision and getting older, I was getting a little scared on the mound.
Yeah.
With the what I call sizzling past my head, and I've definitely been hit before, and I've seen people get line drives to the head and leave in an ambulance. So I was getting a little scared.
Yeah.
Sure. And I figured this would be a good transition.
It's interesting you choose disc golf where you can also get hit with things. I haven't seen anybody go to the hospital yet, but I have seen people get nailed.
But it's different. I mean, literally, I keep picturing. I can picture, like, play that video over and over of.
Yeah.
It was a female batter. I knew her. She hit that ball. She can hit home runs, and she hit that ball straight to his forehead, and oof.
Out like a light, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can happen in disc golf too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
And it has.
I know, but
Well, it's funny. Like, rarely is it something that the competitive side of the sport brings them in as a beginner.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's the communal part of the sport, if you will.
True.
So it's interesting that you had that. That is, you're coming from an athletic background, and that the competitive side is the part that you were looking for, not just something to do.
and it's not that I'm really competitive. It's just that
You're really competitive.
it drew. Well, I'm not. I mean, Marcus looked it up. I'm probably rated 600,
I got you right here. Let's find out.
and I've been playing for a year.
Ooh, I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, even if you're not, a super competitive person by nature, you've grown, you have familiarity with competition, and that's a part of your life,
Right.
From softball. So having that, feeling like you had to kind of separate yourself from that would leave a void, in your life, whether or not, it was just the fact that you want to be out there smashing softballs. But like for a lot of us, played sports in high school and stuff, and then in adulthood, it's like,
What do you do?
there's something missing there. Yeah.
Sure. That there's definitely a void if you're used to doing that. Just being busy, even when you're standing still. If you're somebody who's always on the go, sitting still is like one of the worst things.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, disc golf has answered that question for a lot of people. And it's that thing we talk about all the time. It's like social interaction, having a social circle, and also that competition and having that like athletic outlet too. So.
But it is a different type of competition, because
You're used to team sports.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that has also helped attract me to it, is that I don't have to get 9 players for my team and 10 players for the other team in order to play a softball game. So, because I was the coach / manager of any team that I played on, and so that was, as an adult, that was really hard to get everybody to show up and not have to
Wrangle people.
forfeit and all that. Yeah.
We'll get people to just who
Herd
say they're
kittens.
going to be there and then or they're not going to be there, or just we understand it's just part of the whole logistics behind doing anything like that. If you're softball, disc golf, paintball, where I came from in that world. I mean, I was doing the same thing with the paintball team. I was 25 and the oldest adult on the team, and you're like, I'm not supposed to be taking care of 16-year-old kids. Like, this is way out of my wheelhouse. But I understand where you're coming from. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
For sure.
Organizing
Which is
people.
kind of nice, that you've put in that time and gotten experience somewhere doing some type of organized sport and organizing it and doing it yourself, because it helps a lot. Transitions very well.
Would you say that, like, the fact that it's something that you now share an interest in common with Jamie. Is that like, has that played a part in it too? The fact that it's something you're both interested in, and now that you have kind of got the bug, it's like, more of a kind of like a combined effort. Like you guys feel like maybe it's bringing you closer together as a couple, and also you've like found some new kind of outlet that's enriching both your lives.
Yeah, I think so. For me, yeah. I mean, there's parts of me that I go through, in particular, anxiety, and then, and then I go and play, and then it's kind of I get over it, and then, and it's just helping through that, and then when we are playing together or playing at the same event together, or even casually, it's bringing us together. It's we're meeting new people, just
strengthening that bond, just overall.
Yeah.
Will and I, and actually Hoy, it would have been you too, Marcus, but when we played yesterday, we actually kind of talked a little bit about it while we were playing, was just the mental aspect of it, and how, like, no matter if you're the best or the worst or somewhere along the line of your disc golf life, and then when you're playing disc golf slowly but surely starts to make you mentally stronger. I honestly feel. Yeah. Because it makes you question yourself. It makes you question your abilities, your confidence, and in those abilities, and then forces you to be confident in execution.
Yeah.
Through execution, rather. I think that's it. And then for people, like, I mean, everybody struggles with certain mental downfalls. So those things in this sport, particularly in golf, probably as well, traditional golf, those things get highlighted as a person to you. Everybody on the outside world may not see it, but like you know it in the inside. And so, like, to me, I know it strengthened my mental game, especially like when it comes to having people around while you're playing. Yeah, because that's a big thing for some.
Yeah, I mean, a book that a lot of people have recommended that I highly recommend, Zen and the Art of Disc Golf. That's one of the big themes of the book, is that, there's a lot of things about disc golf as a sport and as a recreational activity that are just very unique from other activities, and one of those is that it's like a mind, body, spirit kind of activity where you become so passionate about it. It becomes such a part of your life so fast. It's like you can learn to become a better person by playing disc golf with other people. And it's almost just like doing the podcast. It's been something that's taught me a lot about how I communicate, and I go back and listen to episodes of the podcast where I've just been kind of an obnoxious jerk, and I'm like, okay, got to work on that. And, but disc golf is good for your life. And then also it does cause you to really fine tune your mental capacity and your mental functions.
I was going to say fortitude even.
Yeah. And being able to handle frustration and rally back from it. And then obviously the physical component, it's
yeah,
good.
That's a big thing too. Physical.
You're walking a couple miles and getting core movement and engaging muscle groups that you normally wouldn't.
Sure. A lot of different muscle groups if you're not used to it.
Jay alluded to playing yesterday. We had our Event 8 in the Music City Disc Golf Bag Tag Series at White House Park, and that was a lot of fun. Weather was great. We've gotten kind of a cold front this weekend.
Wow. What a full weekend.
It's about time, right?
Yeah.
Don't jinx it.
Let's see here. I can pull up some scores. I know some guys got some aces.
While you're pulling that up, Marcus, I know you do a lot with mental work in disc golf. You have to when you're playing it, and especially when you get past just throwing the disc and you're actually thinking about shots and what disc does what and what angles do what and what angle is this going to leave you at. I mean, what is your take on that? I mean, like, do you feel like that mentally you've gotten stronger throughout your years of disc golf?
Well, I guess I'll go back to, one of the old podcasts we had where we had a guest that said start with a neutral disc, and that's definitely helped my game as of recently. My neutral disc is I've been throwing the truth. So I just basically go up every shot now thinking, if I can't do it with the truth, what am I going to do it with? And that's also helped me focus because it makes your 16, 25, 36 disc bag seem smaller. A lot of times, you get into your bag and you're like, man, I could throw a Firebird, T-Bird, Eagle, Truth, Putter. What am I going to use? And when you get that in your mind, the more options you have, the more chances you have to make a bad shot. which is why I guess one of the best golfers in Nashville, Josh Houke, keeps a small bag.
Sure.
You know, he's got maybe 2 bosses, 2 firebirds, a couple mid ranges, and 2 or 3. What is the type of putter he uses? Darts. Yeah, 2 or 3 darts,
Darts.
Sure.
and kills it. When was the last time Josh Houke played around and didn't kill it?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, right?
I'm not real sure.
You
about
know,
that.
crazy. I mean, I can almost expect right now in the Music City Open, he's going to be in the top 15. Like hands down, he's a solid.
I would
golfer.
love to see him come back like at some point and end up on Chaser lead card coverage.
He's done it
See
before.
him
He
on
did it
Gatekeeper
2
Race,
years
that'd
ago,
be
3
dope.
years ago.
So, I guess also, you know, the fact that you've played softball before, that could also strengthen your mind. It could also get like other people to come out. You know, one thing I always try to stress on the show is like, how can we get other people to come out and play? You know, and if the transition between softball and disc golf is seamless and easy, then that could be an avenue where we could maybe
Pursue.
pursue.
Well, look at how many
getting
people in
more.
our community came from baseball.
Yeah.
It helps a whole lot.
Sean, I know Sean Groton,
Telly.
Telly.
even Michael Holland.
If they've got big
Really?
cannon
Yeah.
sidearms, they may have came from baseball.
Yeah,
That
shout out to
seems
Michael
to breed
Holland. He's
those
been
guys.
shooting very well recently. I recently helped him
Yeah.
with his backhand. So if he watches the podcast, you're welcome. And hopefully it didn't discourage or impede his new throwing form. It's going to be just great for him. I hope he is really happy with that. 'Cause
Doesn't
we
seem
worked
to
on
have
it for
hurt
a
him
little
so
while.
far.
How'd he
Huh?
shoot?
Let's see.
I
He
think
was
he
in
was-
Pro Open, right? That's what he's
Yeah.
playing now.
Down by 8.
Michael Holland tied for 4th place with Harper Thompson and Stone Smith. So he's
Well, that's
doing
pretty good
all right.
company.
He's
Yeah,
doing
he has
all right.
a
Pretty good
good
company
flick
there.
shot. We out played Shelby Park, and toward the end, after I was beating him, we had a chance to work on his throw a little bit, and hopefully he worked his backhand. The tips I gave him actually, hopefully it helped this game, because I hate giving people tips right before a tournament. That's one thing I hate doing. Therese was playing Tennessee State, so I was supposed to hit with his backhand, but I told him straight up, I was like, hey, I can't help you right before a tournament because that's going to destroy your round. You know, you're going to be thinking about so many different things. Don't put me into your thoughts as you're going to throw a shot at a
Sure.
new tournament, okay? But, you know, yeah, it's like I'm always trying to find, like, different avenues to get new disc golfers, and I hope that, you know, softball is definitely one of those ways we can bring in new disc golfers.
Well, check it out. Ruthie got 2nd place in novice women at the bag tag yesterday.
What?
What I was
Oh.
excited about was how many women
Yes.
in novice.
6
Seven,
players.
six.
Nice.
6 players.
Very
I think
nice.
we've all been pretty stoked about that. Like
Yep.
recently, the women have really taken to the sport.
And shout
That's
out to
good.
Julia Bell. She's been kicking
Yeah.
butt in FA4 for a while now. That's Sarah Hoyle's sister,
Yes.
who just recently this year, I think, got to where she was really
Yeah.
playing consistently, and she's been winning raffles and all sorts of stuff. And CTP
2 bags.
prizes, two
that,
new bags.
That red bag looks nice.
So are we allowed, because she's been winning and stuff, do we get to call her a sandbagger too, or like to bag up, to move up?
Not
rather?
yet.
Not yet.
Not in the
Okay.
women's novice division.
Well, that's what I'm asking. That's why
Come
I'm trying to get
on.
the
Something
the
we're going to
PC
talk
on
about
this,
too
the
is
PC
like,
on this.
you know, we'll put a pin in that for now.
So-
But I also want to shout out to Jamie Miller, your husband, because he got 3rd place. And he almost fell within the show's motto, never tie for last cash. But he didn't tie, but he got last cash because there were, I think there were 6 players in MA40. And he came in 3rd place just behind Sean Googe in 1st and Robert Zavala in 2nd. And, dude, there's, he beat David Duke, Joe Stevens, Shannon Napier.
Some good names.
In
Yeah,
White
man.
House.
Yeah, at White House, yeah, and that's Shannon Napier's backyard. But so Jamie did really, really well. Congrats to Jamie, golf snaps. And because ladies first, I'll go ahead and let's look up here. FPO. Shout out to Shantae Cox for taking down 1st place with
Yeah.
6 over par, and that's awesome to see her. She's stepped up to FPO and she's doing well. And then Abby Ingachevsky and Alex Stewart tied for 2nd place with 7 over par, just 1 stroke behind Shantae. So, congratulations, golf snaps
Yeah.
to those ladies. And just for posterity's sake, we'll say MPO. We've got tied for 1st place John Lynn, Captain America himself, and David Harless, both shooting 10 down.
Yeah, have you seen him?
Yeah.
Have you looked
Yeah,
at him?
yeah.
He,
I mean,
he
he's
throws
Steve
real
Rogers,
far,
dude.
and he's kind of
He's
got like
Steve
that chiseled
Rogers.
Who are we
chin.
talking
And
about?
John Lennon.
John
John
Lennon.
Lynn.
Remember when we were talking about that
Lord,
in the
yes,
match play, and it
yes.
was Captain America versus
Yep.
the Black Panther?
Right.
Yeah.
And like he's a better he's a better human, and like so good of a human, in fact, that when you talk to him you just feel bad. Like,
yeah,
you're
for
just
sure.
like, I probably shouldn't talk to this special human.
I did beat him last time we played, but yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's really good at
Marcus,
he's really
he's like,
good
I'm
at
not
disc
scared.
golf,
I'm not scared.
too. A resident pro, the course pro in the Sapphire Lounge over here.
So
I'm just saying, I did
how
buy
long's he been
marksman
playing?
basket. Watch
Marcus,
out.
how long's he been playing?
Who?
How long's John been playing?
John Lynn? Let's
Like
look him
what,
up.
2 years, 3 years?
2-3
him
years,
up.
I think. But he was tied with the Harless at 10 down, and then third place right behind them, one stroke behind them, 9 down. Brandon Boswick, big up to Brandon.
Yeah.
Another good dude, and another really good disc golfer, and a friend of mine. And but yeah, then we mentioned Michael Holland, Harper Thompson, Stone Smith, all tied for fourth place. Let's see if we had a tie for last cash. We did not have a tie for last cash, but surprisingly, behind that T4, we've got Justin McCain with 6 down, and Josh Hauke, who we were just shouting out, coming in at 5 down, a stroke behind McCain. And Josh Hauke got last cash.
Watch it.
I think that was probably just a show of solidarity with the podcast. He was just
It's
like,
just
I want
that-
those guys to know I'm
yeah.
thinking about them, and they'll mention me because I was last cash.
It's not necessarily like the best
And
course
that's
of
another
flicking
point
either.
of our new platform too. Is this is the only place where the person that gets last cash is going to get a shout out.
There you go. Shouting them out. You and your $5.
Hey, we'll take it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we did have a couple aces. I know John Carrizales, who another new member of Music City Disc Golf, and Dylan Field both got aces. I think that was the only two. There might have been more. If
I'm
Dr.
sure there
Details
some
was here,
close
he would
ones.
know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the baskets, the way they were set up, I think there was probably a lot of runs.
Yeah,
A lot of bounces off the nubs or bounces off the chain.
yeah.
I was happy I got
Did you
a
have
birdie.
any runs? You were happy you got a birdie? How many did you get?
Yeah.
How many
I
birdies did you
got
take?
one.
Which one?
Oh, dang it. I'd have to look.
She's like, I'm going to though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
We
tell
can
you.
find it. He's got
I
it
can
up.
tell you.
We got it up right
Yeah, I
here.
got it here.
Okay.
Let's see.
Um,
You got
Was
your
it
birdie
10?
on
I mean, it wasn't
10.
easy.
Yep, it was 10.
Nice.
All right.
It wasn't like it was 190 feet. It's long. It was longer than that.
Jay and I were talking about our performance. It was set up to be an epic day, man. We were going to have the last cash pod card. It was going to be me, Jay, Dr. Hoy, and Marcus. And Marcus had to do dad life things.
Dead life.
But me and Jay were talking a little bit about it before we went on the air. We had streaks of greatness
Oh yeah.
and moments of epic stupidity,
Yeah.
all three of us. But Dr. Hoy was on a tear for a minute there, Dan. He was
Well,
shooting lights out.
He shot well, lights out. You were on a tear for a really long time, and then till the very, very end, and then I just kind of like had to battle back. I started off rough, and then was able to pick it up and bring it back close to even towards the end of the round.
Hey, I think I have a tip of the week. Or just the tip.
Whoa,
Just
whoa,
the tip.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. She.
Well, yes, I'm not gonna ruin it, but my tip of the week, my tip is gonna be, because I learned a lesson today, and it was a rookie move that I made, and it was dumb, but I was feeling really good about this round. I was really excited to play for once, and I was looking forward to it. And I was getting warmed up, tuned in. I was kind of zoning in there a little bit, and then I think it was hole 4. I threw my drive. I walked forward off the tee pad, watching my shot. And as I was watching it, I kind of started stepping backwards. But always watch where you're going, kids. Because I managed, as I was stepping backwards from my shot, I kind of halfway stepped on the front of the tee pad and halfway kind of rolled my ankle. Like, not enough to be like, oh, and really know that I sprained it or anything. But, like, after that, it was like every step at some point in the movement of my ankle, I could feel it. And then Jay was like, he gave me good advice, tighten up your shoe and walk it off. And I did that, and it helped, and it was a good thing for much time. And then my whole foot started hurting because I was
so keeping it all.
and then
in
that
there.
was what happened at the end of the round. I was just like,
Yeah, you walk a fine line of inflammation and getting through a round.
So I've been playing disc golf for a long time, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about what just happened to you, and I'm so sorry that happened. But I've seen a lot of disc golfers that will not take their eyes off the disc and start walking. I saw, who was it, Austin? What's his name? Oh, goodness.
Austin Mater?
Yes. Okay, so I've seen disc golfers that have twisted their ankles. I've seen disc golfers that have broken limbs, but still, while the disc is in the air, they broke their leg, They broke their finger. The disc is still in the air. They're watching it. Oh my God, it's gonna fall. You broke your ankle. Wait. So my disc hit the ground.
Don't we talk about the love of the sport and how it got us started? Was
Yeah.
the flight of the disc?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
How are you
sure.
supposed to see that if you're looking at the ground?
Maybe just stop moving.
Don't walk and
So,
look.
Dummy. Don't walk backwards.
whatever form you have, use it. Throw the disc. Make sure you land on your feet, and then maybe you can watch the disc land.
Maybe.
I will say that.
Maybe.
Play your cards right.
Yeah.
Don't stop trying, though, because the epic fails that we get to see on YouTube, they're priceless.
Oh, yeah. And anything terrible that happens, you'll laugh about it a year later.
Richard,
Have you seen
And
any,
we'll talk about it
any
on the
females fall and still watch their disc while they're falling?
Can't say that I have.
Oh man, you should play disc golf with like more guys. Oh my God, maybe guys just are like more clumsy than women or something, because I've
Surely.
seen so
Surely.
many guys that have like my one of my great friends, Kyle Wagner. He doesn't live in Nashville
Oh,
anymore, but he's
Kyle.
awesome. And we were playing in Memphis at Bud Hill, and he gets up and he throws, and sure enough, twisted his ankle. And you've seen the Simpsons episode where he's like. This guy was on the ground. I kid you not, for 5 to 10 minutes. They called
Making that
in.
sound.
They called in the little ATV, and the guy shows up on the ATV, and as soon as he got there, he's like, "Oh, I'm good. I can get up. I can walk it off."
Now
Like,
I
he didn't
can.
want the embarrassment of being driven off on the little small ATV, but I kid you not, this guy. I'm sorry, Kyle. This guy literally. He's on the ground. He's like, "Oh, my ankle. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? My career is over. Disc golf this, disc golf that." And all of a sudden, the ATV shows up, and he's like,
I'm
"You
good.
know what?
I'm good.
I'll walk it off. Let's go, guys. Next hole." Like, oh, who are you? Whoa! Like, seriously, please,
Yep.
just maintain balance. Throw
Yeah.
the disc.
Watch where you're going.
Watch where you're going.
Yeah. It's pretty simple stuff.
That's all I got,
Yeah.
and I'm out.
It's funny how, like, those little bitty tiny rolls, though, like you're talking about, not a full roll where, like, like, I'm probably going to have to walk off of this round because there's no way I can plant. But those little tiny ones, like, you can get by with just a little bit. But like you were talking about, every time you planted, it was that little twinge. And that's
Yeah,
just enough sometimes.
And it was
That's
just
when you start doing
gradually
standstills.
a little bit worse every time I did it. And then by the last 3 holes, I was just like, it was like a pain to walk, let
Dude.
alone like pivot.
All you
But,
gotta do is think Karate Kid, okay?
right.
Ooh, Cobra Kai.
Well, if you're some people, you can, like, meditate that away. But if you're not, then you're going to feel it.
I could have thrown sidearm every shot, and then it would have been even worse.
Stand still, sidearms. Let's go.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about your perspective of, Ruthie, is just, as a woman in the sport, because we are seeing a lot of growth in the women's side of things here in Nashville, just with our local disc golf community. But some interesting stats that I heard mentioned on the Upshot, the Ulti-World podcast with Jamie and Charlie. They were saying that women's PDGA registration this year, memberships, are down 1.5% or so, which in a pandemic, that's kind of reasonable to project, but men's are up like 5%. So, and there's been even more, at least in, the media and, their press releases and stuff like that, more of a campaign to reach out to more women and kids and stuff like that. The BIPOC statement, we're looking to reach out into demographics that are underrepresented in disc golf. So it seems like almost like there's more conscious effort to bring more women in, and it's also fair to mention that PDGA memberships and tracking those are about as effective as looking at a player's rating, because in the same way that a player's rating isn't necessarily an accurate depiction of that player's ability, PDGA memberships are not necessarily because like here in Nashville, most of our events are unsanctioned. And we've got a lot of women showing up to bag tag events and weeklies and stuff like that. But maybe they're not signing up for PDGA memberships. But my perspective, like that we mentioned on the show before, it's like, how do we get more people from the African-American community involved? Well, it's like the people that we do have in disc golf that are of the African-American community need to be the ones to make those decisions. And how is it best to reach out and market? So what do you think that we're doing well that's bringing more women into our club, and what are ways that we could invest more, or what could be done on more of a large, like, national scale? What do you enjoy
We
about?
should go to all the softball games and be like, "Hey, girls, you play softball, right?
Yeah.
Come throw a disc.
Come throw a disc
Well,
eventually."
I have seen like YouTube video of disc golf stuff where maybe it was Paul Macbeth and Paige Pierce. I can't remember, that they were at a baseball game and they, like, during an intermission did some demo of how far they could throw or something. And I know with COVID, I know we're not having sounds games and
Sure.
football game. Well, people coming to them, but like when I saw that video, I was like, well, yeah, you should definitely do at least a demo or something like that, because so many people don't know about that it even exists. But I mean, to answer the question, I kind of don't really have an answer, but the last thing that you just asked me, repeat that again, because that's going to help spark an answer.
What do you think we're doing well, and what do you think can be done on a more of like a unilateral global scale to make it more appealing to women? I feel like in our efforts to get more women to show up at weeklies and any event, it's almost like I can say to women till I'm blue in the face, hey, this is going to be, you're going to really enjoy this. It's a safe place for you to come and be recreational. There are other women. The guys aren't jerks. I can say all that, but because it's coming from a man,
True.
it only goes so far. Whereas if it comes from a woman, and I think that a big part of why we're seeing more women joining our club and playing in our community is because we have people like you and other ladies that have joined the community. Shantae is another good one to mention, that are visible and at all the events and contributing and working within disc golf and investing in it and leading and being leaders.
I think that's what you're saying is very key.
Yeah.
I think it's the stepping up part of it. It's the leadership that most people see. Sure, they know that the women pros are out there, but it's the community, the women who don't care about competition side of it. It's the women who are just there. So stepping up is key. What you're just saying there, Will.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, what I do is I just, like I did it Saturday when I was practicing at White House. Every lady that I see out there, I make sure that I say hi.
Introduce yourself.
And at the very least, I crossed paths again with her again. I crossed paths with her a second time playing the course, and I was like, because I saw her with the guys that she was playing with, and they were just kept looking for disc. I was like, you're sick of this shit, aren't you? I just straight up, I said it to her, and she's like, yeah. She's like, is there a women's league? I was like, girl, here's my phone number. And it's just, people either don't know or they just need to be in contact with the right people so that they can, because I think the best thing for a woman is to play with other women.
Yeah, sure.
And I know not everybody agrees with that, but I just think it's,
Well, at least to begin.
Because we can't throw as far.
Right. It's a way to measure yourself
in the beginning
against, like, the rest of it. Could be competition.
I think
all of a sudden she could be throwing farther than guys.
Right.
But, you got to see where other people that are like you started from, and which I think is a great point, because if you see somebody, I mean, just like you said, if it's like African-American, see another African-American playing disc golf, then they're more apt in playing instead of maybe seeing, like, somebody else that's doing it and not, oh, okay, that's cool.
Well,
but like you see somebody like you, like see a woman, sees a woman playing disc golf, and you're like, hey, that's awesome, And one of the things I've always stressed is, like, as far as like schools where they could have, a mom and a son, a dad and a daughter, you can create all of these different, combinations because, disc golf isn't exclusive. It's more like, hey, who wants to play? Not like only you can play.
Right.
And when you got those options and those opportunities, and you can, like, bring in your grandmother to watch you, she can just walk to the park, because there's a great commercial that always plays. It's the one where, Paul Macbeth is throwing the disc, and you see the full flight because they have some kind of drone, and the people are talking about the reasons why they play disc golf. There's one girl who says it's just a walk in the park, and then Paul Macbeth comes back and he says, I do it as a sport. And I can't remember.
To me, it's my job.
It's your job, yeah. And I can't remember.
There was a lot of controversy about that on the internet.
Well, I mean, to each his own, but I mean, it's just a great representation because you're showing the different reasons why people play disc golf.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, at first it was like super fun. I met these awesome disc golfers, like Dan Sisk and Rodney Gold when I first started playing, and then after that, you meet all these other people. All of a sudden, if you join the PDGA, you don't know it, but you have immediately 1,000 friends across different states because, you can go to another state and play disc golf and all of a sudden be like, hey, can I play with you? Yeah, cool. Hey, you know where I could live around here because you probably are from here and I'm not from here, You can find different, information through disc golfers just by opening your mouth. Disc golfers are so, friendly and, open to, questions and advice and stuff like that. So if you meet a disc golfer, chances are you'll probably be a friend with that person.
Yeah, I have disc golf friends that I haven't even met yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have plans to go and meet them, and it's pretty neat, I think.
Yeah.
Well, so I always ask, and Will here kind of jumped onto it already.
It was just
but
a teaser. It was
just
just
a
a teaser.
tip, just a tip. Pineapple. So what I want to ask you is what is your tip for a disc golfer? And it doesn't have to be form related. It can be showing up on time. It could be stretching. It can be anything. Just your idea. Just one tip.
That's right.
Just a tip.
That you
That's why we
think
call it just the tip.
all disc golfers or women disc golfers could gain from your tip. And like I said, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be form related.
And
it can
be as nice of a tip as you'd like, or a
or
hey,
you can be angry. Yeah,
you can be
start
like,
a
hey, do
revolution
this
on
because
this
it drives
show
me
if
up
you
the
want
wall.
holy pineapple.
Use our platform. I was about to say use our pineapple. Use our pineapple.
We have a safety word.
Use our. And apparently, it's being thrown. But use our platform to get people to get their pitchforks and torches out.
Because some people will show up on time. Some people are stretch before the round. Some people are make sure you bring a water. So what's the one thing that you would tell a female disc golfer or any disc golfer hey, this is what I say you could do, or just a tip for you? And it's really hard.
You want me to give you a moment to cogitate on that?
I want to add two things while she thinks.
All right, let Jay add on. Come on.
To this. One, like you said, opening our mouths, and disc golfers are great about it for the most part, but how many people walk by or running by in the park at White House? Because when they see that and they don't know, it's like a car wreck. It just pulls their attention there, and they want to know, what are they doing? What is going on here?
Yeah.
That is immediate sell, that you don't even have to make. That you literally walk up, talk, tell them, like we do all the time. How many people walked up from the dog park? Yeah. And just White House is a great location for that, being houses and all that stuff like that. But that's where you're getting the outside spread, because those kids are going to go dude, we were in the park the other day and we saw these guys throwing these discs. We should try that.
Like a sign that says hey, we're playing disc golf. Ask me why.
Yeah, something like that. That'd be cool.
Maybe that's a good idea for the Last Cash T-shirts. We have a slogan like that or something, a provocative question on the front, and then we have the logo on the back.
No, but then also going back to what you said, to grow any division that needs to be grown, women, juniors, all that, playing with the same talent level or same capable abilities is huge. How many times have you tried to get your buddies, even friends personally, out into the sport? And they'll go play with you a couple of times, but they either don't want to play again or only want to play with you because they're like, "Oh, your buddies are just like you. It's not even fun for me. I got to throw 3 times to get to y'all's drives." He was like, "That's not even fun. I'll just play with you." Well, then that limits them. They're not getting to see the other side for at least 6 months before they can get a disc to stop doing what Ruthie's did and go straight up in the air and crash left.
Yeah.
Or right, depending on side.
Everybody throws high the first time. It's like the Matrix.
And so that takes them some time. And when shoot, dude, when people would ask me, they're like, "Oh, you can play with us this round," no, I'm just going to shoot through. Yeah. Your first few times when you're playing by yourself, you weren't stopping and playing with guys who were,
Well, and that's why why something I've said on the podcast before is that I think disc golf should continue to be all things to all people. You should be able to get access to the sport at whatever level you desire it to exist at, whether that's completely recreationally and casually, where you just show up once in a while with your buddies and go play around with 2 discs each. Or you should be able to do that. If you want to play a little more competitively but still have that casual, fun atmosphere, there should be events provided in your area that allow you to do just that. And there should also be, like I said before, the club should be a ladder that gives you access to each different level of disc golf should you choose or feel the desire to take it there.
100%.
And, with the, women's thing, we got to give a shout out to Katie Holbrook and Danielle Dobbs. I think that's also a big thing for us and seeing the success in the women's community that we have is that we've got women in leadership in the club. and they are visible. They're there, and women feel more comfortable if there are women involved in leading everything, I think.
And even Danielle's been pretty big in the community with starting that.
Yeah,
the Ladies
absolutely,
of Music
because
City and
she
being
served
a
on the
part of
board
that to begin
before.
with. Yeah.
She started the Ladies of Music City Disc Golf. She also runs our installment of the Women's Global event, the Firefly Fling.
Mm-hmm.
And you just ran a really successful, probably the most successful trilogy challenge I've ever seen.
I'll be straight real with you. Nothing against that, but getting 3 discs and I paid money to play, it's fun and you get to see your friends, you get to try out new discs. But to see 100 and something people at one of those, Ruthie, you did something right.
Yeah. I mean, my first
Straight
event that I ever ran was a trilogy challenge, and I got 25 people. And you just ran a hugely, insanely successful trilogy challenge that saw a bunch of kids, a bunch of women, a bunch of first-time players.
Right.
I mean, it was the epitome of what the point of a trilogy challenge or what a tournament like that is. It's supposed to be a gateway into the sport for new players. It's supposed to be, just really everything that yours was. What
Sure.
was, I mean, I obviously, we came alongside you and wanted to help you make that successful, but for a first time TD, I've never seen anything like that. And do you think that's because of your experience with softball, or because I know you've been involved in coaching and administration and stuff on that side?
I don't think it is. I think it's 2 things. One is that with COVID, that everybody needed something, some kind of a disc golf event because they are new. Because it was a lot of new people,
Mm-hmm.
and I've made a lot of friends even just in running that event. So it's been nice. And then I forgot what I was going to say for the second part, but
Yeah,
Well, it got you plugged in at Two Rivers really securely as well, because you become a part of that team with Zach and Kyle and Donnie.
Besides that, I think it showed 100+ people that, one, not only you, but how many ladies do you see running their own events?
Mm-hmm.
So that 100 and something people watch you lead an event. So those 100 and something people, maybe I don't know if all of them saw it, but maybe 10 or 15 are like, oh, whoa, I've never seen a girl TD before. She's rocking this.
Yeah.
That's a giant step forward, whether you know it or not.
we need a tell a friend disc, like a disc that you're gonna give away as a TD or as a tournament. It's like, hey, this is for your friends.
We actually have something like that at Dynamic Disc now. We have 2 things that you can get. I know that for us as team members, we can get discs that they have a stamp on them, like a unique stamp that says from our family to yours.
Mm-hmm.
And it's discs that we can get at really low prices, like $350 per unit or something like that we can have a stockpile of and give away to newer players or whatever. There's also a run of discs now that you can get called My First Disc.
Mm-hmm. The proof.
Yep, and they're the easy to use lineup discs. I think a lot of them had been out of stock for quite a while now because a bunch of us ordered a bunch of them. I have not gotten a chance to get any yet because they were out of stock. But yeah, I think more companies should be doing stuff like that, like provide a really cheap baseline option for if you're passionate about it and you want to, and you don't know where to plug in, maybe you don't have a big club in your area or something, some way that you can make a difference with new players and stuff like that. But you just being there, I mean, that's huge for
for people to be able to see. So I think that's one of the reasons that I did want to volunteer at the Good Neighbor Festival, is because I wanted to kind of see what it was about, but I also know that area was more Latino, Hispanic. I'm Filipino, but everybody thinks I'm Latino or Hispanic, so I wanted that visual of rather than just the white guy. Sorry.
No, yeah.
Of being
bros.
there. Yeah. And so
just a good old.
I think that's important, is either for me my skin color or my gender.
Yeah.
To be out there and have everybody see me. I didn't play Cane Ridge Open, but I was so excited and so happy that I did help with the tee times for the baby cane.
So were we.
Because that was, I mean, it was just great.
Yeah.
I made even more friends.
You and Katie kicked ass
Doing
that
that.
day too.
Yeah.
By the way,
You may not know
We talked
this,
about
but
it on the
when we
podcast.
have volunteers like you, we ask you to do certain things because we have ulterior motives.
yeah.
Just so you know.
Let's clarify this real quick
What's the
because
ulterior?
we
It's so
when we
rare.
see- yeah.
it's so rare. I want you to understand this, that somebody that's new to the community, new to the club, new to disc golf, it almost immediately, like as soon as you started playing a lot, you were showing up at our community outreach stuff. You were showing
help.
up at our work days, and that doesn't happen. And leading by example like that is huge. Like the newer members of our club, many of them that have signed up this year, like you are an example to them. Mm-hmm. You know, they see somebody like you and they think probably that you've been playing for a long time and you're just super plugged in. Mm-hmm. But, you know, being that you just like showed up and said, hey, how can I help? I'm here. You know, I want to help. That's all you got to do, you guys. And for women, there's two things I think that need to be said. And if you're listening to the show and you're in another community outside of Nashville or whatever, and you're wondering how you can have more success in the women's area and women's side of things, like I think there are two things that need to be kind of impressed upon your membership and like if you're a leader in your community. One, the women that you do have, please find a tactful way to encourage them to step up. And not that, you know, you're going to give them a crazy full-time job that they have to do for free or anything, but like to show up at an event, maybe, you know, just to show up and be behind the table at something and learn how to run a tournament and start a women's league. Like if you understand how disc golf works, there's no reason why you couldn't start your own league or weekly or whatever. And that's, you know, to start something that's just for women, that's huge. That will get so many women to play because they don't have to worry about having to play with guys, and they don't have to worry about being around guys that are still existing with a 15-year-old's mentality. Mm-hmm. So,
Preach, brother, preach.
I think one, it's very, very important that the women that are involved step up and take some leadership because that will only draw more women in. That's the kind of comfort level that women need in order to feel safe. And then also, guys, quit being such cretins. Like
I was gonna say the same thing when she talked about people so people can see you, and like when a woman hops on the disc golf bandwagon, we have such a big community and everybody's all friends, but maybe she doesn't want 30,000 friends all at once.
DMing her,
certain
at inappropriate times, with inappropriate things.
Here's the thing, man. Like when you're do this all the time, how many stories, dude? How many stories have we heard or listened to because it's so prevalent that it's a topic of discussion, that it's on the top of their minds on a regular basis. And so, guys, these are regular people who play disc golf on the weekends, who compete, and they have families and jobs, and they are, this is not what they do, and they get bombarded sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is not just disc golf community. This is man species in general. You know what I mean? Well, who weren't raised right or who didn't have a strong female to smack the shit out of them whenever they were growing up.
Or no social skills.
Yeah, or there's plenty of reasons. But here's the deal: like, even if you're just being a nice guy, give them some time. Let them just
Don't be too helpful.
Yeah, just let them be. And guys, and look, I'm one of the most extroverted human beings you will ever meet, and I even can understand hey, when you are just being friendly to somebody who's new, especially female, to an almost dominant gender sport, that's super uncomfortable. Like, they just don't know how to perceive you. They don't know how to understand that. They don't know you. So even if you're just being friendly and trying to be nice,
or make a joke,
maybe just try to read that body language a little bit better and back up and just be like, hey, welcome. Thanks for being here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And not go overboard.
An example I like to point to, a first-person example, and I won't mention the young lady's name because just to save her any potential embarrassment or anything, but a friend of mine who was recently moved to town from another area, experienced disc golfer, had a sponsorship, had been in town for a while, and her and I had been talking, and I was trying to convince her to come out and play the Wednesday night tags because I was like, this is the best place to meet the people that are involved and kind of get your feet wet and get to know the people in the community, and it'll be really fun. And it had taken a few weeks of just talking to her to finally talk her into coming out and playing, and she came out, And, dude, I have never seen so many wild animals come. Like, you know how, the 20, 30 minutes before an event where all the guys are just kind of hanging out by their trunks, getting their bags ready, getting their shoes on, all this stuff. It was like she came up and showed up at the table, and I was checking her in, and all of a sudden, the entire parking lot, each car had 2 dudes sticking their head out from behind it, like looking down at the table. And I was like, oh, God, here we go. And then pretty soon,
10 more walking up to the table. Hey, how are you?
Every 30 seconds, somebody's hey, dude, put me on her card. Put me on her card. And I'm like, no.
You're the
absolutely
last person
not.
I'm putting on their card.
And I was like, you're going to play with me and my 2 perfectly safe married friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And yes, I understand that for a lot of us, even for me and for us, when we play and it's just the guys on the card, that's our fraternity time. That's our time to have the locker room talk and say things we wouldn't say in other circumstances,
and say things that aren't necessarily meant.
Yes. And look, I understand that that's a stress relief, that's a therapy, but one of the things that we're trying to create here is an environment where women can have that for themselves too, where they can have the girl time, where they can get around and talk about the things that only the girls want to talk about. And that's not possible if you guys can't stop the boy talk, the locker room talk, when you come off your card and you're standing around with the other women. Because even if you're not saying anything appropriate directly to them, if you're standing 5 feet away and your little circle of guys is hooting and hollering and laughing about some really inappropriate stuff, you're making the women that can hear you that are standing right next to you uncomfortable. So it just goes back to this being an etiquette, courtesy-driven sport. Have a little etiquette, have a little courtesy. Don't be a freaking cretin.
It's all about respect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Boom.
They talk about respect the course, but it's also respect your surroundings and people and the people and the sport.
Respect yourself.
Respect
Man, I feel like so many problems if you had a little more self-respect as a person for your own self.
Yeah.
And maybe you wouldn't do some of the things you did because you respect yourself a little bit more to put yourself in that situation.
And, dude, I'm not trying to preach from a pulpit.
No.
Because I can't tell you the number of times where I have said some jacked up shit and realized who was standing immediately around me and been like,
dude, I not do it yesterday right in front of a dad and his daughter, and I turned around and apologized profusely, and I said I didn't say anything terrible. I said shit because I threw a bad shot. And I turned around, and there was like an 8-year-old girl with his dad standing there watching us. And I literally was, I got a little girl. I couldn't apologize more. He probably thought I wasn't, just, I don't know, beating a dead bush at that point. But the entire time we stood there and walking up the fairway, I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm so, so sorry. And rarely do I have even an outburst of that. But that was a really bad shot,
Yeah.
It happened. But even then, we all make mistakes. But like Will said, show some respect, act like a human being, and treat others the way you want to be treated. I hate to say that, go back to what your grandparents used to teach you, the golden rule.
Well, the reason cliches are, there's a reason cliches are cliche.
Touche.
On God.
Yes. But I don't know. Enough of that. And that can go all sorts of ways. You know what I mean? There's dudes who get it, who have terrible form, but want to play disc golf, and they get it from people on their cards. It's just a respect thing. Just have some respect. Yep. Overall, I think the world could do with a little bit of that right about now.
Absolutely.
Just in general. When you talk about you representing not only a gender but a race, I think in these times right now, maybe we're shining an example of that inclusiveness that some of the world needs, but also you see everybody seeking it. We don't have these issues without people have a need to be included. And when you alienate somebody, what happens? Well, they turn bitter and angry, and shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
So when you talk about being a TD and the number one thing you can do to grow a youth or a race or a gender in your sport, don't alienate them when they come up. Don't just dismiss them as, oh, hey, they're here.
Well, and speaking to that, the CBS Sports coverage of the DDO came out. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the, and again, I mentioned in the last episode, I wasn't able to watch it because it wasn't as easily accessible as they made it out
invited
to
you
be.
to come over.
I know, but I'm saying I had other things going on, and it's like unlike everything else that's being broadcast in media, there was no easy way to get it on a mobile platform where like you couldn't stream it unless you had like because my cable provider does not I don't have CBS Sports,
yeah.
so I couldn't get it through my cable provider, log into any of the apps and say, oh, I have this provider and blah blah blah. Couldn't do that. I signed up for CBS All Access, downloaded the CBS Sports app.
Nothing.
That didn't work. So it's like, one, it's important to point out, it wasn't as mainstream or as mainstream
Sure,
accessible
sure.
as it was kind of made out to be.
Takes the premium cable package.
And add to that they made Jomez wait a certain amount of time before they can release it on YouTube.
Sure.
And another thing that I think has been brought up is the amount of coverage that was given to the women. And it was noticeably minimal. And it just seems ironic to me in a period of time when disc golf is growing like it's never grown before, and the PDGA, the governing body of our sport, is saying things like, let's invest more in women and underrepresented groups. And there was an opportunity there, a big one. And I feel like that was a fail. That was a miss, a swing and a miss.
Let me throw my theory out here, and this is going to kind of go a little bit off from disc golf, just in general, and maybe not politically correct. So bear with me. This is not my belief. This is my theory on the matter. If you look at any sport, and I come from playing basketball my whole life and then into other sports, basketball, NBA, millions of dollars. WNBA, a lot of those ladies are working regular jobs still.
Oh, yeah.
Half a year, and it's what the difference is, whether it's excitement, people's interest. I don't know. I really can't tell you. And in disc golf, that's even less because the women can crush. It's not like I get that a lady's not as tall as a guy, so she can't jump to dunk at 10 feet. That's different than, I mean, you watch Paige and all these new women who are found the sport now who are throwing super, super far. Like, they're closing the gap as far as the physical differences.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes down to what we have with CBS Sports, and you hate to say it, but it's just like our government, just like our country right now, just like everything. It's capitalism. It's what's going to make me – why do you think we got on CBS to begin with? They got nothing. What's going to make me money? What's going to give me some airtime? What's going to give me some viewership? Right now, I got to recover some of the millions of dollars I've lost because we can't play football. We can't play baseball. We can't start hockey. Well, I watch the International Championships of Climbing on ESPN. And I like climbing, but good Lord Almighty, can you watch something any more boring? Like, unless you climb, you don't understand any of that or how hard it is. Like, it just looks like somebody climbing a wall. You don't see that they're holding on with, the tips of their fingers, like with their knuckle muscle. You know what I mean? Like, They don't see that. And so the fact that we're on TV, in essence, is because of COVID and because they had to find something to try to recoup some of that loss that they've this year. I'll take it. As a sport that we need it more than ever with the growth that we're getting because of COVID. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, I feel like, I'll get to my point, I'll wrap it up. It's still not lucrative. And for whatever reason that may be, that's beyond me. I can't tell you why people watch what they watch, but I feel like that's why when it comes to the sport of disc golf, like if it goes mainstream, it's just like almost going to be like any other sport where it's the men's is going to be forefront, and that's unfortunate because of the way the people who are invested in that type of stuff, that's all they see. They don't see lives, they don't see community, they don't see the sport as a whole. They see, how can I make money off of this? Which is one of the biggest reasons why we haven't been there to begin with, because it doesn't cost $1,000 to get a set of disc golf discs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's no money in advertising that. So, but anyway, that was kind of my theory on it. That's not my,
No, it ties into what I was pointing at. It's like, also, our next guest just pulled up, and I don't know if the door's locked or unlocked.
It is locked, and he can hold off. I don't care if he is 1,000 rated pro
Marcus,
or not.
I don't want you to have to.
I got it, man. I got it.
All right.
Well, it's about time for that break, but finish your point.
Well, what I was pointing at was something specific and what you kind of wrapped it up with there was that it's not lucrative. Because I want to say this, man. Another good example is Pro Masters. All these guys that were the big MPO champions, 5-10 years ago, that now are playing in MP40. Well, you got some huge names. I mean, like, look at the people that are signed up for Music City Open in MP40. We got Patrick Brown and Barry Schultz.
Is McRae still coming?
And McRae, but he's playing MPO.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because here's the thing. You don't get media coverage if you're not playing MPO. And
true.
And you talk to, I mean, our friend J Ray, friend of the show, J Ray, the Masters Worlds.
Right.
He'll tell you about it.
Dude, there's no fanfare. There's no investment. There's no glitz and glamour. There's no presentation. It feels like a C tier.
I believe the words he used to me and Will when he was telling us were the words laughable.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I mean, I could be sorry, J Ray, if I misquoted you, but when you told us about that.
And what I'm getting to here is, like, even for MCO this year, we've got a ton of support from media, and it's really impressive, especially considering the fact that I didn't have a budget for media. There were companies that wanted to come and cover the event because of the stature of the event and what it's become. And throughout the whole process, I was leveraging to try to get somebody on the lead card of MP40, and nobody's interested.
Oh. We got surprises though.
I mean, the thing is like, everybody wants to, whether it's a sponsor or whether it's somebody from the media outlet, the first thing they want to say when you say, why can't we get more coverage on this? They say, there's no interest. And I'm like, well, no shit, there's no interest, because if you put a camera on the way it's presented right now, nobody will look at it twice.
Tell me right now.
There's not going to be any interest if you don't invest in it.
Tell me right now, if you don't put Climo, Schultz, Brown, and McRae on a card, that you wouldn't have interest in people watching that?
Yeah. But the point is, if they're playing at a course that has spray painted tee pads on grass and mud, and you know what I mean, there's no flags, there's no banners, there's no signs, there's no tents, there's no RVs, there's no gallery, and then they're saying that because those things aren't there, this is why we're not going to cover it, because there's no interest. Well, I'm like, if you would put the stuff there and highlight it and make it seem like something grand and presentable, then I think there would be interest, because there are legends playing the golf and they can still ball. And it's the same theme with women and with juniors. It's like, you know, that people, if you say, why was the coverage on the women at the DDO so minimal? And at first I want to point out, I don't know if that was CBS Sports decision or Jomez decision or who made those calls that brought us to that point. But if you ask them, hey, why was the coverage so minimal? They're going to say, oh, there's just not as much interest. And I'm like, I disagree. I think you kind of got to put it. Yeah, I mean, like, you could cook a burger on a grill in your backyard and throw it on a paper plate and squirt some mustard on it and put it on white bread. And, well, it's a burger. You put a little presentation, you put some vegetables on there, put it on a nice toasted bun. You know what I mean? It's called plating. You know what I mean? It's like, and the reason I'm making a food reference is because there's chicken adobo
I've been
simmering
for
for us downstairs. Thank you, Ruthie. But plating, presentation, I think you have to put a little investment, a little extra effort, and people will respond.
Can I just, I want to say, having respect for yourself or what you're doing, that you just wrap that up. Like, if you have enough respect in yourself to be a part or be proud of something that you want to have your name on, why wouldn't you take that extra step of that plating, as you said?
Yeah.
To present it the way it should be done. And
I think it's downright disrespectful
I want to say,
ignore.
Sure, it is. 100%. Those are the guys who battled through this sport as competitive professional athletes when in a time that they were not making anything. Like, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, the number now, and like, the numbers are low even now, but think about those 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago even. I mean, maybe not 5 now, but definitely 10.
Yeah.
Those numbers weren't that. I mean, they even the gentleman from ESPN who's the commentator, I forget his name, he mentioned that before the skins round on the CBS coverage, that there was $4,000 up for grabs in the pro pot, and they had $11,000 for the guys who were in the skins match. I mean, where that money comes from, sure, there's going to be a lot of debate, but you know, I
think if everybody puts a little bit extra into it. It'll work out. You want to know something really ironic?
Thank you for finishing that. I kind of lost my
Yeah,
way
it's
there.
all good.
I
But
get on tangents, and I want to wrap it up and lose it.
something ironic is that we've been, talking about, hey, well, the reason you're only getting white men is because it's only white men that are visible on the coverage and on the media and all that stuff. And
100%.
guess what? The two white guys that were here have talked straight for the last 15 minutes. We haven't let anybody else say a single thing.
Well, I'll say this, Will, and because I don't take a lot of credit for that, and I'm sure, just like me, I could say for you, we were raised a different way than some people are raised today, and not, I don't want to say correct, but when you're raised certain ways and you're taught to respect people for who they are and what they believe, and like it may not be what you agree with or what you believe, but they're not causing problems and they're not hurting anybody. Why is there any difference? Like, you were raised in that belief, that mindset. So when you go into it, there is no predisposition, if you will. That's all. That's all I was gonna say. So thanks, Mom. Thanks, Will's mom.
Thanks,
She did good.
Ruthie, what do you got coming up? I know, like we mentioned, you're heavily involved with the Two Rivers team now.
So we've got Friday League at Two Rivers. Sign-ups start 5:15. Last sign-up at 6 p.m. Flex start. Pros $15. AMs 10. And as it's getting darker, we got some LED lights for the baskets and turn it into some glow.
Glowies.
In a nice, safe disc golf course for glow. I just keep imagining myself walking into a tree. I mean, like...
Well, there's less of them there than there are elsewhere.
I was gonna say you got the right course for it.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got that. I am in communication with Sarah Nicholson with Throw Pink.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really want to try and do a Throw Pink tournament in October. But that's about it.
If you want to try to do that, I think that if you put your mind to it, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you will.
And
And that's a great event.
Sarah Sinclair is Team Throw Pink,
Yeah,
so she'd be a good resource for that.
That was
What
one
up,
of my
Logan?
steps was to communicate with her. So,
This is a private recording.
yeah. I don't know what else.
Nothing else. Major.
I mean, Wednesday I'm going to be at Seven Oaks with Shantae's Women's League. And
Plug that right fast if you don't mind for Shantae since she's not here.
How many more installments?
Yeah,
is
I'm
this the
just
last
curious.
I suppose it's supposed to be the last one.
Well, for the 6-week sanction league.
But I don't know what would happen afterwards.
So at least this Wednesday, in tandem with the Wednesday night tag extravaganza, Shantae Cox and Enchante Creations are running a women's league. So if you know somebody that is a lady interested in playing some disc golf, plug them in. Yeah, get them out to Seven Oaks Wednesday about 5 o'clock. We'll get them signed up, get them on a card, let them have some fun with some ladies.
Yes.
And we've got other big plans too with you once COVID kind of calms down a little bit. You know, we were talking about you've taken on the reins and done a lot of legwork towards getting an after-school program at YMCA.
Once COVID is,
Yep.
Yeah, that's been a big hit. We had some questions about some of the schools that we work with and what happened with some events like that one particularly. Don't forget, COVID affected schools.
Yep. Well, thank you, Ruthie,
Yes,
for
thank you.
for letting me talk you into this. I know you were a little bit apprehensive at
How
first.
how long? How long? Sorry, Ruthie, I got to do this. How long did you take?
Not long. I mean, she said no at first. I said, you're going to be on the show, right? Because you offered to cook for us. And I was like, well, you're going to be on the show, right? And you were like,
I was like,
I'd be a terrible guest. I have nothing to say. And I was like, I disagree with that
Yeah.
completely.
You've been a wonderful guest.
Yeah, it's
And
been
a
delightful
pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Quite pleasant.
So, to go back to your question,
Okay, here we go.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
I've been
Wow.
simmering.
yeah.
I've been simmering on it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Like
there
chicken
We go.
and exotic spices.
True.
Now, Filipino chicken adobo is different than Mexican chicken adobo, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there would be two things I would say.
Okay.
Would be, I am happy that I've got my hands on lightweight discs
Okay.
to help
Good tip.
with me being able to continue to play. I don't know how to word that.
Is that from like an injury that causes problems, or just
No,
because
just
the discs are lighter?
I was
Compete.
trying to throw 100 and what I still have them. A Witness and I can't remember.
Diamond or a ruby or something.
No, I didn't even discover the diamond till
Breakout.
later.
I think you had a breakout at one point.
But I got that in lightweight.
Yeah,
so
they only
a
are
Witness
in
and a
lightweight.
Thief.
There you go.
I had
But
them
in
in like
170
174.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Up
how it
and to
would
the
go.
left. Up and to the left.
But I got a hold of Diamond, a bunch of Latitude stuff, but Diamond, Explorer, the River in 150, 155. And right now I'm really liking the Jade and the Mall. And I have those in 150, anywhere between 150, 155, and I am loving them. So lightweight disc would be recommendation for
Retailers and TDs out there, get your hands on some lightweight discs for the ladies and beginners.
Was just gonna
Yes.
say
That was what you raised money for with your trilogy challenge, was to get an order
Right.
of lightweight discs that
And
you
I'm
would have for
getting-
more beginning players.
right.
Yeah.
Getting ready to make that order. I was going to make 2 orders, one through the club and one through Nashville Disc Golf Store, just to help out,
sure
show my support that way.
Yeah.
shop local.
Yeah. So that would be
Amen.
one tip, would be lightweight discs. And then my other tip would be, don't know quite how to word it, but even though disc golf is free,
It's not free.
just it really, I mean, you have to, yeah, you're right.
Well, shout out to our last guest, Freshie, who that was, I think it was Ben Northcutt was one of the people that coined it, but disc golf ain't free.
And I have to rub into your face, Will, that I have been to Eggland.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jealous and ashamed.
Color
Color me guilty.
Get out there, sorry, and
Eggland's life
participate,
course.
and pick up trash. I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with doing. I remember that my first tournament was October 2019, J Ray's Flex Start.
Oh, yeah.
At Cedar Hill.
Yeah.
And I got there and I was very, very, very nervous. But J Ray had pulled up and was setting up the tables. And I just jumped right in, grabbed tables, never knew who he was, and just started helping him set up.
Yeah.
I don't know if he remembers that.
No, he does. He does. He remembers everybody that helps. And honestly, and he and I have both said it often, like, that's a real good way to get plugged in. Like, if you want you're the first chance at some of the goodies that come out.
don't give away the secret. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'm just saying, if you make friendly with the RV drivers, they get their hands on a lot of stuff that you might not see on a website or in a store. So
Yeah. Well, J Ray got me the first mall that I've gotten hold of. So I got that at straight out of Ogween. Straight out of
quarantine.
yes.
Yep.
That's pretty good though. Straight out of Ogween. Like
Maybe we'll put a pin in that. We'll table that for another event.
Man, you should come back again, Ruthie. You have a lot of stuff to
She
say.
will. She will. I have a feeling we're not going to be able to let her go, especially after we get our
some of
mouths
that
on some of this
adobo?
chicken.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much. Not just for coming tonight, but also just for everything you do and for just being you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very grateful to have you as a friend and to have you as a member of our community. And you're doing great things, and you're setting a really good example. Proud of you, kid.
I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
You
We're
put a
enjoying
smile on people's
you.
faces, and that is beyond measurement.
Katie Holbrook calls me Sunshine.
Yeah.
I like it. She's Ruthie Sunshine to me.
Ruthie, Sunshine, Toothy, Miller. You're just stacking up nicknames.
Yeah. We're gonna figure this out. Sunshine, I like it.
Oh, if you ever find a disc and it's got Ruthless on it, that's me.
Yep. Ruthless,
So please return
a.k.a.
it
Ruthie
back.
Toothy.
That's awesome.
Any closing statements, boys?
Dude, thank you. There's no reason to be nervous. This was awesome. You did
I'm
great.
still nervous.
You know what I mean?
Did great.
She sounds.
It
Well,
was a great episode.
Don't be.
Yeah.
Killed
Yep. Shout out to Kevin Jones.
Yes.
Oh,
GMC.
Green
Yes.
And we'll get
Mountain
into that.
Championship.
Got him a nice win. Yeah, we're going to knock out 2 episodes tonight. We've got Logan Bauer. Some of you saw him just walk
in
in
the
the door.
sideline.
So we'll probably get into some GMC discussion on our next segment. We figured we'd make the most out of this and give you guys a little extra content this week.
it. Sure.
So on that note, on behalf of Marcus Rogers, Jay Skinner, Dr. Zachary Hoy, who could not be with us tonight because he's out there saving babies, thank you, Ruthie, once again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll have you again.
Absolutely.
And it'll be fun. And if there's anything else that you ever want to mention on the show, just let me know. You can come stop by and be on and talk about it for a minute, whatever you want to do.
All right.
Extended invitation to the Sapphire Lounge. And ladies and gentlemen, all you cool cats and kittens, we'll
There
catch
you
you on
have
the
it.
flip.
Let the bass kick.